Welcome back, squad, to another video on cryptocurrencies, and today we are going to talk about some very interesting topics. So we're going to talk about market making, Bitcoin's price volatility, and some kind of sense towards all of this madness that we have been seeing with Bitcoin's price over the past 3-4 weeks. We have seen Bitcoin go up $1,000 and then down $1,000, just a day apart from each other. So it has been a crazy market, and what I want to do with this video is basically dispel any myths for all the individuals out there that think that the market isn't being engineered for specific conditions. All right, so let's get into it. All right, guys, so today we're going to kick things off with regular stocks, regular investments for the average investor. Okay, so first off, we're looking at euro to US dollar. Now, as you can see, this chart looks pretty wonky, like there's been some work in the making here, but when we look at it, when we actually look at the value of the euro to US dollar conversion, we can see that the fluctuation actually isn't as major as it actually looks on this chart. So at its high, at the conversion, it was $1.14. 1 euro to US was about $1.14. Now it's at $1.12.9, so about $1.13 or so. So what actually happened? Like, what kind of change are we seeing? Well, it basically comes down to fractions of a penny. So like 1.1 penny or something like that of a difference. It's not that much to the average user. Now, for this to have a big effect on your portfolio, you have to have a large amount of money, say, invested in euros, and then when you do the conversion to US, right, now would be a good time to sell, and then when it goes back up, you could buy. But the amount of money that you would have to have in this market to get a decent return would have to be incredibly substantial, right? So, but the returns are so minimal for the average investor. Returns are incredibly minimal. Now, if you can do like futures contracts or something like that, and then or leverage trading, then your possibilities for return are higher. But just by buying and selling, it is incredibly difficult to be profitable with this much fluctuation. It is hard to fluctuate the value of the euro to USD conversion. You need a lot of cash flow. Okay, now let's compare this to something like Bitcoin. Bitcoin in the day goes up 9.34%. All right, whereas average investors go up 0.06%. So to put that into perspective, that is like 900 plus times larger of a price increase. 900 or 9,000, whatever it is. It's insane, right? Bitcoin will fluctuate by large amounts of money very fast, and it will happen on a whim. You will not see it coming, right? And I will explain these points very, very quickly. Now, for people that have been in cryptocurrencies for a while, this is a very normal thing. But like I said, I'm going to dispel the myths that there is no market engineering going on. I'm going to put all the points out there and make it very blatantly obvious. So that is just one key factor. You can see the difference. It's very difficult to fluctuate this market substantially, very easy to fluctuate the Bitcoin market substantially, okay? So that increases the likelihood right there. Now, let's dive into TradingView, and I want to show you guys quite a few things which make it very easy for me to point these things out. So, first off, if you've watched my videos on talking about relative strength index and MACD and some other candle indicators, you'll have a decent idea of what I'm going to talk about next. So at one point, I had created a wedge here indicating what I think the price would do right after this price fall off. So I created this prediction indicating that the price would gradually rise, right? And then potentially even blow the top and go to higher highs, potentially, for that time period. But what actually happened is it did follow the wedge decently well, and then it fell off, okay? Now, I didn't see that coming at all. And if you look here at the MACD, this is not normal behavior, guys. If you look here, we have a MACD that's fallen off decently. We have our blue line way under our signal line, and it just immediately corrects. After this massive price fall off you see here, right? It immediately corrects. It stops in its default pattern, like where it is easily seemingly going to go. Like any investor at this point in time would look at the market and say, you know, yeah, the price is probably going to continue to go down, right? Now, at that point, it immediately changes course. And the only real indicator of this is the RSI. As you can see on the 1 hour chart, we have touched the bottom and we're almost near oversold areas, right? And that signaled the correction here for the MACD. But that is such a major correction. If you look at the distance here, crossing over the signal line and then basically having this massive run up all the way to here, 12,300 from 10,600. And this happened in the matter of 6 hours. So 6 hours, Bitcoin changed over like $1,000, $1,200, you know, and it's insane. Like, that's what this market is doing. Now, if you look back, right, we go back to here, we're seeing, you know, some movement, right? But now we're seeing some liquidity engineering, some market making. You know, the bigger players have jumped into the market after the Facebook announcement for Libra, their cryptocurrency project. Now, I want to spend a bit of time talking about that because what that's done is brought in a lot of dumb money into cryptocurrencies. Now, like, if you're not familiar with what dumb money is, it basically is new investors getting into the game without being fully knowledgeable of what they're actually investing in, right? So for a lot of people, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, blockchain technology, those are just buzzwords, right? If you invest in regular stocks and you're an average trader, you know, getting into this market is completely different because the amount of market engineering here is insane, and it happens incredibly fast. So if you are leverage trading in this market, and at this point you had some shorts open or whatever, and you had like distanced stop loss and stuff like that, when the market jumped up like this in the matter of 6 hours, your trades are done. You lost whatever money you had on the table there, right? And when you look here at this MACD, it clearly shows that up until this point, it's going to continue to increase. It's going to blow up. It's going to, you know, continue doing very well, right? And even the RSI, it's in overbought territory, but generally when it's in this region, you know, there's a bit of a correction and then another bounce up. And like I said again, guys, it's very difficult to call this behavior, and again, this is where we see that rejection and that market making, because when you see a MACD like this, it is very easy to say, yeah, it's done, like Bitcoin's going 15,000, right? And then it immediately corrects from 13,800 all the way down to 11,800. That is $2,000 in a correction in the matter of mere minutes. Okay, now with other stocks, traditional investing, you will not see that. It doesn't really happen, right? Like 20% of its value, of Bitcoin's value, was established in like 2 days or something like that, and then it dropped by, again, a 20% the next day. So obviously people that were on the wrong side of the fence when they were establishing futures and their positions, longs or shorts, a lot of people got chewed up and they lost a lot of money. Now, again, why would you engineer the market this way? Why would you want to do this, right? Well, the idea behind this is if you have a lot of money, right, or a lot of Bitcoin, you are one of the early adopters, you got in and you were mining like 50 Bitcoin per block for the first few thousand or 100,000 blocks there was at the time. Then you killed it, right? You can easily use 500 to 1,000 Bitcoin and change the structure of the market entirely at your whim, okay? And this is very, it's happening. It's very easy to see. And that's what we're seeing up here. So when all indicators show that the market is going to continue up and we're going to hit 15K and potentially 20K, they'll fake out the market, and they can see the indicators and what regular investors are looking at, right, to determine what positions they're going to make for their trades, right? They can see that, and they'll turn the market completely around 180 degrees, right, and make the opposite happen to liquidate all of those trades that have been established to get more money or more Bitcoin at that point for their trades, right? So if you engineer the market and you make it go opposite what all signals are showing that it's going to do, then you increase your bottom percentage for your revenue on that day, right? And so we can see this happening consistently, right? So Facebook, Libra's announcement comes out, the market just, it jumps in price, right? Over the matter of 2 or 3 days, okay? And then it falls off the top because everybody that was waiting, said, okay, when we hit this resistance level, all of our hidden orders, they're going to drop on all of these new investors, and we're going to pull some more money out of Bitcoin, right, out of the market cap. I think it was like $160 billion or something. Crazy numbers were pulled out of the market cap in the matter of like hours. 30 billion for sure. I do recall that, but it has been happening, right? So the dumb money comes into the market, aren't really too involved. They know that Facebook's jumping in. Now every other CEO of every other company is saying, hey, you know what? We have to take this serious. Facebook is taking it serious. It could really blow up, right? So the dumb money comes into the market. Now the investors that have already been into Bitcoin for a long period of time, they are basically pulling that dumb money out, and then they're buying back at the bottom here so that they're literally taking no losses and only gains, okay? They cash out at the top, right? And they buy back at the bottom. And the thing is, they can guarantee that the price will go down to the bottom. It just basically comes down to what amount do they have to sell, right? They can look at this and say, okay, well, I have to sell 3,000 Bitcoin, and then, we'll be able to buy back at the bottom, right? So that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing a lot of this, and you know what? Some people really didn't see this coming, us going down to the 9,700 level, but it is a major support, and so a lot of people were really banking on that. So the people that had shorts established here and watched it go down, they really geared themselves in solid positions. But again, like if you look at the MACDs and you look at the indicators, you wouldn't see this kind of thing happen, right? Like it happens totally opposite of what should. And that's how they get you. Bull traps, short squeezes, long squeezes, all of these things. They they do happen, and they happen deliberately and incredibly quickly, and it makes it hard for new investors to get into this market when these things happen. So what's happening, right? Well, a bunch of I think it's the FATF. They have jumped in. They've established some regulatory actions, and I think they had at the G20 summit. I think it is. All of the leaders got together and they said, yep, we approve of this. We're going through with these regulations, and this is how we're going to establish trading with crypto. This is the information that we need from all these individuals on a per trade basis, right? And as that news kind of came out, we saw this drop off in price, and now we're kind of resurging. So my point is that there will always be this market making and liquidity engineering going on in the near to mid-term, like until the regulations are so well established. I mean, this is actually a very strong point for Bitcoin and then a very weak point, because it makes it tough for other investors to get into the market when they see things like this. Bitcoin goes up 20% and then drops 20%. You know, it makes it very scary for the average investor to get into something that has such high risk. But for other investors that enjoy that thrill and the potential for high gains, you know, it's a very lucrative market. So with that said, I'm going to point you guys to one more thing, and which is basically where we're at now. We have, if you look at the MACD here and you look at the RSI, we can see massive gains in the last little while. We went from 9,900 and we're at $11,274. Now we've hit the top of the RSI, and now it's going to fall back and hopefully correct right around here, because you know, that correction is healthy for the market. We'll probably see about 11,000. It'll hang out around there until we see more liquidity engineering. Now, for the MACD, there is no real indicator that this is going to fall off. It looks like it's just going to keep going up, 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 and you know, there's no arc established here showing that there's going to be a price reversal. But like I said, as you see up here, it does happen, and it happens in a flash. And Bitcoin is unforgiving in that sense. Okay, guys. So as you can see, there is more market making. As you can see here, you know, the price falls off just very deliberately, and as it gets to the bottom, you see a complete reversal, and it picks right back up. So investors that are at the top of the food chain, they're selling out at higher prices, they're buying at the bottom, and then they basically allow the market to go back up just with regular buyers, and then rinse, repeat, they sell at the top. And this cycle has been repeating consistently over the course of the last 3 weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues until the next Bitcoin halving. So anyways, guys, if you have any questions about this or some key points that potentially I've missed, definitely put them in the comments below, because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. You know, there are some times where I do miss some key points, or I forgot to touch on them in my videos, and if you put them in the comments, then I can expand on those points. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend. I will catch you all in the next one. Stay regular.